Today is the anniversary of the appearance of Radha Kunda. Radha Kunda. It's a pond, a transcendental pond. We'll read about that. The holiest place in the universe. You've heard of Radha Kunda? Shyama Kunda, Radha Kunda. Yeah. We're going to hear something this morning. There's unlimited things to say about Radha Kunda. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari. Gope Janna Vallabha Girivano Dari Sodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Prabhupada Asatosa Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Vainanti Kodavaishtundi Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Iskyan Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Sri Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gogopya Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Sri Vrndavana Ki Jai Sri Maya Pranavadam Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsa Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So, we're on text 9 today?
I think text 11, Prabhu.
11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6. Text number 11. Techa hyar vaktanaya nijaloka yatra yanda param parayas vastas tamas yadhe swayam eva prapatisyanti. Low-class people, due to their gross ignorance, introduce a system of religion that deviates from the Vedic principles. Following their own mental concoctions, they automatically fall down into the darkest regions of existence. Purport. It's a long purport, so stay attentive. In this connection, one may see Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, where there is a description of the downfall of the Asuras. 16:16 and 16:23. So now we'll go on to the next verse. Small purport. Text number 12. Ayam avataro rajasopa pluta kaivo yo pasiksanata. Translation. In this age of Kali, people are overwhelmed by the modes of passion and ignorance. Lord Rishabhadeva incarnated himself to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. Purport. The symptoms of Kali Yuga are predicted in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lavanyam Kesadharanam. It is predicted how fallen souls will behave. They will keep their hair long and consider themselves very beautiful. Or they will pluck out their hair as the Jains do. They will keep themselves unclean and will not wash their mouths. Jains refer to Lord Rishabhadeva as their original preceptor. If such people are serious followers of Rishabhadeva, they must also take his instructions. In the 5th chapter of this canto, Rishabhadeva gave his 100 sons instructions whereby they could become free from the clutches of Maya. If one actually follows Rishabhadeva, he will certainly be delivered from the clutches of Maya and return home back to Godhead. If one strictly follows the instructions of Rishabhadeva given in the 5th chapter, he will certainly be liberated. Lord Rishabhadeva incarnated specifically to deliver these fallen souls. Om Jnanatamurandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukram Kotavachalang Pangunlang Hayate Grim Yakripatadaham Bande Shigurum Dinataranam Vanchakapati Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In the Vedic literatures, it's stated, as we just quoted, Om Jnana Tamanandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chakshrum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Everyone is born in this world in ignorance. Means also unhappiness, although they have the saying, ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorant people think it's bliss. But it's not. There's happiness much beyond this ignorance. But also, because people are ignorant, there's not actually happiness. There's not actually happiness. But sometimes we see where, let's say we're on Harinam or on book distribution, then people appear to be happy. They're smiling, they're laughing, and it looks like they're kind of happy, right? And one may question, well, they seem happy. You know, we're saying there's a place of suffering, but they appeared happy. And Prabhupada explains that this is due to their past activities. It appears like there's some happiness. They may have some wealth, some beauty, some education, some happiness, material happiness. But this is due to past activities. They're getting the results of their past activities. Now they're using up their past activities, their past good karma. And now many are doing so many sinful activities, so they get the karma for that. But real happiness is where one is actually serving Krishna. And the happiness in this way only increases. Material happiness comes for some time and it decreases. But spiritual happiness is always increasing. And it comes from service. And therefore, Lord Rishabhadeva, actually we're just coming to the end, just a few more verses about Lord Rishabhadeva. But in his teachings, his amazing teachings, one famous verse, he says, Mahat Sevam, Dvaram Ahori Muktes, Tomo Dvaram Yositang Sangi Sangam, Mahantaste Samachita Prasantam Vamanyava Sur Sadavoye. That the door to the spiritual world is opened by service to great devotees. Mahat Sevam. Sevam means service. And Mahat means great devotees. Mahat Sevam Dvaram. It's interesting, Mahat means Mahat Sevam. Sevam sounds a little like service, and Dvaram sounds a little like door. So you can see, Prabhupada said that this is the mother of all languages, and we could see how the English language is coming from Sanskrit. Mahat Sevam Dvaram Ahor Vimuktes. This is how to get liberation, by service to the great souls. Mahat Sevam Dvaram Ahor Tamo Dvaram Yositam Sangi Sangam. But by service to materialistic people who are interested in sense gratification, then the door to hellish condition of life is opened. So the human form of life is a junction. We can go up or we can go down. It's our choice. Who do we want to serve? We want to serve Krishna, we want to serve Maya. It's our choice. If we serve Krishna, we serve Krishna's devotees, then we go up. Inconceivably. So high, go so high. But to go there, we have to think ourselves low. Go very high in one's spiritual journey, but humility is the crown jewel of devotional service. And therefore the devotees on the highest level of devotion, they think everybody else is serving Krishna but me. Such amazing humility. Yeah. So what are the qualities of such a great soul? Mahantaste samachita. Samachita means he's equal towards everyone, sees everyone as a spirit soul. Just like there's an amazing pastime of Prabhupada. This is back in 1975. In 1975, book distribution was really going huge. Probably the biggest year of ISKCON. It was huge. So there was a party called the Radha Damodar party, and they had about 5 buses. And unfortunately, sometimes the way they would get devotees on their bus is they would go to temples, and they would get devotees from the temple to join the Radha Damodar party. You know, come on, you got sannyasis and all brahmacharis. You don't want to stay here with these householders. You know, come on, just join us. Yeah. So it appeared very attractive to the brahmacharis, and it increased. But there was a problem there. Most of the temple presidents, they were householders, and they were feeling a little uneasy that their brahmacharis, which is the most important members of the temple, were being taken away. So it became a big issue. And then at the Mayapur festival, it became a huge issue, and it came to Prabhupada. And the householders, temple presidents were very disturbed. And Prabhupada spoke to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He was the leader, pretty much the leader of the Radha Damodar party. And Prabhupada expressed that the devotees aren't very satisfied with the way devotees are joining the Radha Damodar party. So Prabhupada removed him from that service. And that was a heavy thing. That was a super heavy thing. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said to Prabhupada, "What do you want me to do now? Go to China?" And then he left the room. He was a little upset. So the next morning, Prabhupada was thinking, yeah, China, that'd be good. China, we're not in China. So he told one devotee, go down, because there was a Mangal Arti. Prabhupada asked one devotee, go down, tell Tamal Krishna I want to speak to him. And as soon as Tamal Krishna Maharaj heard this devotee that Prabhupada wants to speak to, he said, I'm not going. Because he knew these things. Because he said that China, he was thinking Prabhupada didn't want me to go to China. So he said, I'm not going. So of course he went up to Prabhupada. He didn't want to go to China at all. I mean, China, it's a communist country. There's nothing. I mean, it's dangerous. You've heard of Chinese torture. It's like China's heavy. He didn't want to go. Prabhupada was determined. And Prabhupada was so determined, he was also upset that Tamal Krishna was not surrendering. So Prabhupada was putting his tilak on and his lips were quivering. You know how you get angry? Sometimes you get angry and your lips quiver. So Prabhupada was so upset that he didn't want to go. And one devotee said, well, Prabhupada, I'll go. What was his name? Another sannyasi? Guru Kripan. Prabhupada, I'll go. No, I want him to go. And finally, he surrendered, and he went, and now there's so many devotees in China, and even the government, believe it or not, printed the Srimad Bhagavatam. They printed the Srimad, the government with government money. They printed the Srimad Bhagavatam, and because it's cultural. Yeah. But things have opened up. There's so many devotees. There's thousands of devotees in China now. So, how did I get on that? Oh, about seva, about service. Yeah, so serving the, samachita. Prabhupada wanted everyone to get the mercy of Krishna. China was the only country, major country, most populated country in the world that did not have Krishna. So he wanted the Chinese to get the mercy of Krishna. And gradually it's opening up. Hopefully it'll open up more and more. And in Russia's, it's another communist country. Prabhupada wanted to go to Russia. And Prabhupada opened up America by going to 26 Second Avenue. He opened it up totally. And Prabhupada also opened up Russia. First devotee to go there. And I don't know, some of you may not know, but when they went there, him and Syamasundar, there was a Bhagavad Gita in the luggage that Malati had put in there. And neither Prabhupada nor Syamasundar knew that it was there. So they were checking the bags, and they saw this Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada saw that, and Syamasundar saw that, and said, oh no, what's going to happen now? Syamasundar is thinking, they're going to send us to Siberia or something. Be prisoners for life or something. So when they opened it up, the person was opening up, looking at it, and there were some pictures, Malati's pictures, some devotional pictures. They fell out of the book, and the person felt bad that they had fallen out and onto the floor, and he picked up all the pictures and put them in the book, and here, take it. So here's your book, and they didn't say anything. That one book was read by hundreds and hundreds, if not, I don't know, maybe thousands. It's the only book, only Krishna conscious literature in Russia. So Prabhupada went there and he was speaking. Somehow when Syamasundar was shopping, there was one Indian-bodied person there in Moscow, and he had a friend that was Russian that was there also, and this Indian person went up because Syamasundar, he's wearing dhoti and kurta in Moscow. Back then, that's all anybody wore, dhoti and kurta. Nobody was wearing Western dress back then. So he's trying to get some rice and some boga, trying to get some vegetables. There was practically nothing, just some low-class rice, and that was practically it. Maybe they got some yogurt or something, but practically nothing. So he was waiting in line to get the boga. That's how they got boga back then. Everybody had to wait in line, long lines. So this Indian person came up to Syamasundar and said, "Oh, you're Hare Krishna?" He said, "Yeah." And my guru's here. If you want, you can come and meet my guru. And he said, "Yeah, okay, that'd be nice." So this Russian person came to see Prabhupada also. And this person turned out to be very open to Krishna consciousness and enthusiastic to hear Prabhupada preached to him for 2 days and practically explained the whole philosophy. And he was so inspired that he became a devotee. What was his name? I forgot his name. Anyway, he passed away some years ago. But he was preaching to his friends, the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, and he read it and he passed it on, and they passed it on. That book was read so much. So Prabhupada wanted everybody to hear about Krishna. He wanted everybody to engage in devotional service, because he knew this is the pleasure of the soul. There may be some material happiness, some happiness, in connection with the senses, but that's not real happiness. Real happiness is inner happiness, and Prabhupada knew that. He wanted everybody to know about this. And also in Africa, Prabhupada had sent some devotees to Africa, and when Prabhupada went to Africa, he noticed that the devotees were only preaching to the Indians. There's a lot of Indians in Africa, but the devotees weren't preaching to the Africans. And Prabhupada said, why is this? Oh, Prabhupada, they're not that interested. No. Open the doors for the black people as well. And as soon as they did, it filled up with black people. And now there's so many African devotees in Africa. Prabhupada saw the soul. Samachita. Saw the soul. Didn't look beyond the body. Just like Prabhupada was in Chicago and he was visiting there, preaching. And devotees had been preaching to this one person. He was really big. He weighed about 400 pounds. Huge. So they brought him in to see Prabhupada and introduced him to Prabhupada. One of the devotees said, pretty big boy, eh, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, he's no bigger than you are. You're spirit soul, he's spirit soul. This is just a covering. The body is just a covering. So Prabhupada always saw the soul, self-realized soul. Samachita prashanta. So he's equal towards it, he's peaceful. He's also peaceful. Prabhupada, devotees would have so many problems. It's the material world, it's the nature of this world. It's kunta, there's always some anxiety. So they would go into Prabhupada to, Prabhupada, we have this problem. And they would just go into Prabhupada's room. And Prabhupada would create this Vaikuntha atmosphere. And as soon as they'd be in the presence of Prabhupada, whatever problems they would have would just fly away, no problem. Because Prabhupada, he had this Vrndavana. He said, whenever I go, it's Vrndavana. I'm just thinking of service to Krishna, absorbed in seva. He created this Vaikuntha atmosphere. So devotees would have some difficulty, and then in this presence of Prabhupada, because he's so peaceful, he's so pure, no anxiety. You would feel like you're in Vaikuntha by the presence of Srila Prabhupada. So, Mahanta ste samachita prashanta vimanyava sura sadhavoye. That devotee does not become angry. And specifically, Prabhupada says in the translation there, he says, when spreading Krishna consciousness, the devotee does not become angry. Because sometimes people, they don't cooperate. So sometimes devotees get angry because people aren't cooperating. So devotees don't get angry. Of course, sometimes when devotees are offended or Krishna is offended, sometimes there's some anger. Just like this Hanuman. Hanuman's such a great devotee, but Ravana had offended Sita and Ram, so he became so angry he practically destroyed the whole city of Lanka. And he's the greatest servant of Krishna. So in this verse also, it's mentioned that in this age of Kali, people are overwhelmed by the modes of passion and ignorance. And it's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tata Rajas Tamo Bhava, Kamalobhascheti, that as soon as loving service is established within the heart, the effects of nature's modes of ignorance and passion, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart, and one experiences this happiness, spiritual happiness. But this comes about by service. And the Srimad Bhagavatam also has stated, Savai pungsam paro dharmo yato bhakti ardhoksaje ahaitu kyaparitiyata hiyatma supersidity, that the supreme occupational duty for all mankind is that by which one can attain to loving service to Krishna. And such service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to completely satisfy the self. So this is the service that we're trying to attain. No material motivation. Motivation may be there. I'm doing this to please Krishna. That's also a motivation. I'm doing this to get pure, which is also a motivation. That's a good motivation. The Prabhupada says that by rendering devotional service, eventually we attain our Swarup Siddhi. Mukti iktvanya rupam swarupena vivastiti. That everyone has their original Swarup, their original form. Yesterday when I was distributing books, I was thinking about that. And while I was speaking to the people, I was thinking, this person has an original spiritual form in the spiritual world. And I have my eternal spiritual form. And I was just thinking, we might have known each other in the spiritual world. It was such a nice consciousness, and everybody was taking books like anything. It was super slow at the park yesterday. It was a Wednesday. But practically everybody was taking books. So yesterday I was thinking about this, mystical experiences you have on book distribution. So when you have this, this consciousness, or you're just thinking of helping the conditioned souls, and like that, you're thinking this person has a svarup, like you transcend the whole material atmosphere, and people experience that, and Krishna is pleased, and they reciprocate. So, yeah, it's by seva, by this service, just like today is the appearance of Radha Kunda, very special day. Actually, the holiest place in all the universe is Radha Kunda. And I thought I would read some from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Actually, he quotes 20 verses describing a joking conversation between Radha and Krishna that took place after Krishna had killed the Arista demon, Aristasura. But he got this from the Puranas, some Puranas. So the verses are as follows. The innocent young gopis said, "Ah, Krishna, don't touch us now, O killer of a bull. Alas, even though Arista was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you will have to undergo atonement, just as Lord Indra did after killing Vritrasura. But how can you purify yourself without going to the trouble of visiting every single holy place in the 3 worlds?" Krishna replied, "Why should I have to wander throughout the entire universe? I will at once bring all the countless pilgrimage places here and take my bath in them. Just watch." With this, Lord Mukunda struck his heel on the ground. Then he said, "This is the water of the Bhagavati river, coming from the Patala region. And now, O holy places, all of you, Please come here. When the Supreme Lord had spoken these words, all the holy places went there and appeared before him. Krishna then addressed the gopis as follows. See, all the holy places. But the gopis replied, we don't see them as you describe. Krishna said, then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication. Oh, excuse me. He didn't speak this. Then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication, spoke up. I am the salt ocean. I am the ocean of milk. I am the Amara Dighika. I am the river Sona. I am the Sindhu. I am the Tamraparni. I am the holy place Pushkar. I am the river Saraswati. And we are the Godavari, Yamuna, and Reva rivers, and the confluence of rivers at Prayag. Just see our waters. After purifying himself by bathing, Lord Hari became quite arrogant and said, I have produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you gopis must never have executed any religious duties on this earth for the pleasure of Lord Brahma. Then Srimati Radharani addressed her girlfriends as follows. She said, I must create an even more beautiful pond. So go to work, gopis. Having heard these words, the gopis saw that Aristasura's hoofs had dug a shallow ditch just west of Sri Krishna's pond. At that nearby spot, all the gopis began digging up lumps of soft mud with their hands and their bangles, and in this way a divine pond manifested in the short span of an hour. Krishna was astonished to see the lake they produced. He said, go ahead, lotus-eyed one. You and your companions should fill this pond with water from mine. But Radharani replied, no, 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 no. This is impossible, since the water of your pond is contaminated by your terrible sin of killing a cow. I will have my countless gopis, companions, bring the pure water of the Manasa Ganga here in billions of pots. In this way I will fill this lake with my own water and thus make its renown unequaled in the entire world. Lord Krishna then gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all the holy places. Suddenly that person rose up out of Krishna's pond and bowed down to the daughter of King Rishabhanu. Then, with palms joined and tears pouring from his eyes, he began praying to her in devotion. He said, O Goddess, even Lord Brahma himself, the knower of all scriptures, cannot understand your glories, nor can Lord Shiva or Lakshmi. Only Krishna, the supreme goal of all human endeavor, can understand them, and thus he is eager to personally wash away your perspiration when you are fatigued. He is always anointing your lotus feet with nectarean charu and yavaka, and decorating them with ankle bells, and he rejoices and feels most fortunate simply by satisfying the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. On his order, we have immediately come here to live in this most excellent pond, Radha Kunda, which he created by one stroke of his heel. But only if you now feel satisfied with us and bestow upon us your merciful glance, will the tree of our desire bear fruit. Hearing this prayer spoken by the representative of the full assembly of holy places, Sri Radha was pleased and said, So, kindly tell me, what is your desire? They then told her plainly, our lives would be successful if we could come to your pond. That is the benediction we desire. Glancing at her beloved from the corners of her eyes, the daughter of Vrishabhanu replied with a smile, "Please come." Her gopi companions all agreed with her decision and became immersed in the ocean of happiness. Indeed, the beauty of all creatures, both mobile and stationary, was enchanted. Thus, gaining the grace of Srimati Radharani, the holy rivers and lakes in Sri Krishna's Kund forcibly broke through its boundary walls and swiftly filled Radha Kund with their waters. So in between Radha Kund and Syama Kund, there's an area there where the water goes from one to the other, but it's most of it has buildings, devotees, bhajan kutirs around it, but there's a little area there where the water goes from one to the other. Lord Hari then said, "My dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more world-renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and to enjoy my water pastimes. Indeed, this lake is as dear to me as you are." Radha replied, "I will come to bathe in your pond as well, even though you will kill hundreds of Aristasura demons. In the future, anyone who has intense devotion for this lake, which is on the spot where you chastise Aristasura, and who bathes or resides here, is sure to become very dear to me." So therefore, if you bathe in the Radha Kund, so auspicious. Yeah. That night, Lord Krishna initiated a rasa dance at Radha Kund, generating a torrent of the greatest mood of splendorous pleasure. Sri Krishna resembled a cloud, and Srimati Radharani a brilliant flash of lightning, filling the sky with abundant beauty. In this way, their divine glories permeated the expanses, the expanses of the three worlds. So, this pastime of the Radha Kund began with Krishna's killing this Arista as a big bull, huge bull, and he was sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. So he was disturbing all the residents of Vrindavan. So Krishna heard about this, and he told the residents of Vrindavan, "Don't worry, it's okay, I'll take care of this." So when he saw Aristasura, he said, "What are you? You're coming in disturbing the residents of Vrindavan. You want to fight? Come." And he slapped his arm. And it's described in the Bhagavatam that when he slapped his arm, it was very loud. And then Aristasura understood, he's challenging me. So then he came and he charged. Bulls, they charge with these horns. So he came to Krishna. And Krishna caught his horns. That's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He just tossed them about 6 yards away. Flipped him over, tossed him. Then he got up and he charged Krishna again. And it's described that Krishna, he kicked him. Got the mercy. Gave him a kick, and then he took one of his horns, pulled one of his horns out of his head and beat him. That's how he died. So this is the amazing pastime of how Radha Kund came to be. And Radharani, she is the greatest servant of Krishna. No one is a better servant of Krishna than Radharani. Therefore, if you go to Vrindavan, you'll hear devotees say, "Jai Radhe." They don't say Hare Krishna, they say Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. Because Krishna is so pleased with Radharani, you say Jai Radhe, then Krishna is pleased. And what would Prabhupada always say? Hare Krishna. Radharani and Krishna. So yeah, we want to learn how to serve nicely. And we learn from Radharani, completely selfless. Like Mogalila Prabhu was telling me how Bhakta Tyler, he's the temple commander, and he was saying that this is such a great service that if someone doesn't do their service, I get to do it. I get to do their service if they don't finish it, if they don't do it. You know? So he was very enthusiastic. And Sikri here, he was a manager of businesses, but now he's just humbly going around. He's sweeping Krishna's temple. That's much more valuable. Krishna much more appreciates that. Yeah. Just like in Chaitanya Lila, there was this King Prataparudra. He was a powerful king. You know, all around India, Muslims had taken over India, but not his kingdom. He was so powerful. What's that area there? That's Jagannath Puri? Orissa. I think he had some other areas around there too. But they couldn't conquer it. He was such a powerful king. But when Rath Yatra came, this powerful king, he was sweeping in front of the Rath Yatra cart. And when Lord Chaitanya saw that, just melted his heart. Because see, he was actually a great devotee, and he wanted to get the darshan of Lord Chaitanya. But because he was a king, Lord Chaitanya is very strict. You know, kings mean, you know, pounds, pennies, and pence, and women, and sense gratification. And he was a very strict sannyasi, so he wouldn't allow it. But on seeing that touched the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and eventually he got the darshan. Actually, he got to massage the feet. Imagine that. He got to massage the feet of Lord Chaitanya. He really got the mercy. And, of course, great devotee. So, any question?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vijaya Krishna Prabhu.
May I?
You may.
Thank you very much, Vijaya Prabhu. My humble obeisances. The translation from text 11 begins with, quote, low-class people, due to their gross ignorance, introduce a system of religion that deviates from the Vedic principles, end quote. So, Prabhu, if I may, my question is, what is, in accordance with the Siddhanta related to Lord Chaitanya's movement, what is the difference between low-class people and high-class people?
Well, Prabhupada mentions that in the earlier verses there, that, you know, people that don't clean, you know, they're just not following regular principles. Just like most religions around the world, they don't follow the regular principles of Krishna consciousness. And Lord Chaitanya, he promoted the chanting of Hare Krishna, but in most religions they don't do this. So therefore Lord Chaitanya, he is known as Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar, that he is the savior of the most fallen, because he came and gave us this this chanting and this pure process of devotional service. So this is a very concentrated process of purification. You know, we're chanting these 16 rounds a day. We're following the regular principles. And we're rising early. I don't know of anybody in the world that follows their religious practice so strictly as the devotees. You know, rising so early, chanting 2 hours, praying to God, please engage me in your service. I mean, it's a pretty, we're a pretty strict movement. You know, I think anybody that looks objectively will find that this is true. I've spoken to many Christians and Jains also, and Muslims, explaining our process, and they're always very impressed. Yeah. Of course, they have their beliefs, but still they're very appreciative of how we're living our life in Krishna consciousness. Okay?
Yes, better than okay again, Prabhu. Wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Jesse, how you doing? Very good. No question? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki